Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be expanding on our calculator app that we made before, and we're going to be making it better and adding more functionality to it. So first what we're going to do, move this up, this label, and our label now is only going to give us the answer. Now what we have this one, we are going to still have this, but let's add another one as well, put it side by side, and then center these. And so what we're going to have is number 1 and then number 2. And we can put a label above those. So label number 1 and number 2. And so that's gonna allow us to put our values in. And then we are gonna get rid of our reset button because we don't really need it anymore. And then we're gonna set this to calculate. And then what we're gonna have is use radio buttons. And then what we're going to do is have 4 of these for add, divide, subtract, and multiply. Okay, I think they're fairly aligned now. And then we can send them. And then this one is going to be add. Subtract. And then multiply. And then divide. And then let me try this again. Because it became unformatted because we changed the size of these. Okay, that looks like it will be okay. So now what we need to do is link some of these in. So what we need to link in is our buttons here, like these, and then we're gonna link these as actions and outlets. So we're gonna call this one, let's call it add action. And this one we're gonna call subtract action. Make an action, set it to NS button, and then we're going to do the same with these. Okay, so we got these in now. Now what we also need to do is make them actions. And before I forget that, I'm going to add this other text label in that we don't have. So text input 2, let's just call it. And we're going to do this, and then we're going to copy this. and call that text input 2. So now we've got, we don't need to link these labels. We got this label up here linked. We got these two linked. We got these two, all these four, sorry, almost linked, but we need to link their outlet as well. So we can do that just here. Outlet and S button. So we're going to have add outlet. And then subtract outlet. And so on. So this could get fairly boring probably. Let's move that down to where it should be, because I want it structured to a certain extent. Then final one, divide outlet. Okay, so we now have these, and so now we can go back into Visual Studio. Let's see what we have. We have add outlet, divide outlet, info label, multiply outlet, subtract outlet, text input, and then text input 2. And then we have add action, divide action. So the reason why we need these is we're going to be using them for the actions are going to be a trigger to change our ratio buttons, or radio buttons, sorry. So this is good. So now what we should look at quickly is up here you can see in our radio button we have state. So if we set the state to on, then that's going to be on. And we'll leave it like that for that one as the first selected one. But the way we change these radio buttons is we're going to change the state, and we're also going to hold the save state. So that's also how we're going to change which ones are selected. If we look back onto our project in a minute, we're going to be able to see that when we select more than one button, the state is going to say all the buttons are going to be selected if we click them, essentially. So here we don't want subtract still selected or add still selected if we click subtract, and then multiply we don't want these two selected. Divide, that can get very messy, so I'm going to show you one way that we can fix this as well. So what we're going to do first is we're going to look at this. We got add action. So we're going to do partial void, add action. And then we're going to copy this down for each of them. So we're going to have subtract action, multiply action, and divide action. Okay, so you got these now. We can get rid of this here, and then what we can just do is console.writeLine, and then here we're going to say add, just to check that we got our radio buttons working. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Okay, let's try this, and hopefully we should get some logging from the console for what they are. So we already have add selected, but we shouldn't worry about that. And we're going to say subtract, multiply, divide, and then add, and they'll still tell us even when they're selected, but that's fine. Now we want to unselect them when they have already been selected, and we also need to keep track of which one is selected. So we're going to call this, let's have it as an integer just to be safe with this sort of. Then we're going to have selected. Well, this is the way that I prefer to do it. And then set it to add. So we're going to have add as 0, then subtract as 1, 2, 3. And so the selected first one is add. And then when we select add, what we want to do is change the state of the other ones. So add action is, or we're going to have add outlet is already set to what we say it should be. So we shouldn't worry about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to have subtract outlet. I think I called it that. Yeah. And then we're going to set the state equal to state value dot off, which means that if subtract was selected before, it's going to be turned off. And then this is one way to do it, but there is better ways to do it, but this is the simplest, I think, in my mind, that I can teach it. In a minute, I'll show you a better way to do it, actually. So what we can do here is we're going to set subtract and then multiply, then divide. And then here it's going to be add, multiply, divide. And here it's going to be add, subtract, and then divide. Then finally it's going to be add, and then subtract. Don't know why I deleted that, but that was a bit silly. And then multiply. And then this should be actually working, but it's not the best way to do it because we got loads of code here that is, a lot of it is just unnecessary. So if we do subtract, it switches over. We can try each of these and it's going to work in whichever way we do it. But the better way that I'll show is like this. We're going to make a public void, or public void set radio, let's just call it. And then we're going to pass in a string value of selected. Okay, and then what we can do here is we're going to copy all of these in, and then what we're going to do is add, subtract, multiply as well. Dot state is equal to ns cell value off. And then finally, what we're going to do is we're going to set the selected dot state. Or actually, we need to pass in the, what we're passing in is the ns button, sorry. Dot state is ns cell value dot on. Okay. So we've got this, and we can check back in xcode quickly. So what we want to pass in is our ns button as the outlet thing. So now what we can do is we can shorten this to set radio, And we're going to pass in divide here, divide outlet. And then we can copy this and do the same for the other ones. And this is clearly a lot better way to do it. And what we could do is enhance that to make it so that we don't actually disable the one that we're setting to true or on. But we won't get into that today. So you can try this now and see if it's still going to work. Okay, so whenever I click one of these, they're all going to turn off and then subtract will turn on. And that's what it's doing, but it's very quick, so we don't see the state where they're all turned off. So this is good. And then in here, what I'm also going to do is, or for each of these, I'm going to just set selected equals 0. And here it's going to be selected equals 1, and then 2 and 3. Okay, so we've now got this working. Alright, so now we can add some of the actual logic for the actions that we're going to do. So adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So, for example, if someone puts in here, let's say 10, and then in here 5, and they say divide, we're going to show up here 2. So let's implement that. So what we need to do first is see which one's selected on the button press. So we're going to get rid of this that we had before, and we can get rid of a reset button as well because that's not used at all. And then what we can say here on push button, we can say we can use if selected is equal to 0, then we're just going to add. So we're going to have, we can also get rid of these as well. So we are going to have text input and text input 1, is it? So we're going to have text input plus text input 1, or text input 2, sorry. And that's going to be our answer. So we're going to set that to the text. And we had the set text before, which was just info label dot string value equals text. And we're passing in the text. So text, set text, that, and then we're going to say convert dot to string. To string, because that's going to be a number. And we're going to use this for whole numbers only at the moment. Okay, so we also need to convert these to numbers, it looks like. So up here we can just do number 1. That doesn't work. Int number 1 is equal to text input, and then we're going to convert that to a integer. Convert dot to int 32 or 16 we can do. Let's just do 16 for now, because we shouldn't have a number too big, too small. And then number 2 is going to be text input 2. Okay. And then here what we can do is just say number 1 plus number 2. Okay. Let's try this quickly and see if it works. So what we should get is we'll add 5 and 3 and we should get 8. So our add is selected already. 5 and 3. And we have an error. Specified class is not valid. Okay. Let's try and work out why this is. Let's just try quickly. Yeah, we cannot convert from int to string. So what we can also use is what's it called? Uh, we see it seems like we're not converting properly to our string, which we need to do to make this work, but I'm not sure why that's not working. Let's try again quickly and just see what happens. We're doing convert to int here. So we got 3 and 5. Calculate and it shows the error. That could be because we haven't selected the option properly, maybe. But I doubt it. Okay. System invalid cast exception. Invalid cast exception. C#. And let's try and find out why this would be. And let's actually read this quickly, and I'll read it out. The exception that is thrown for invalid casting or explicit conversion. So let's try and work out why this is. Convert dot to. Yep. It seems that we might not be able to convert this to an integer for whatever reason. Okay. So convert to int. Let's just try 32 quickly. Not that it should make any difference whatsoever. And this is, yeah. And let's just try minus. So let's add 5 and 5 minus 3. Let's just try that and see if there's any difference to the outcome. Okay. Show details. Oh, went out that too soon. 4 and 6. And then subtract that. Line 35, int num1. Okay, this seems to be the problem. So there is another way that we convert from a string to an integer, and it's with what's it called? It's passing. So we can try this instead and see if that works any better. Int. So we do int 32 dot pass, and then we can do same here. and we got this. Ah, I'm so silly. Okay, the reason this isn't working is we have to do dot to string. Super obvious thing that I forgot. Or dot is dot. No, dot string value, sorry. String value, there we go. That's gonna work now. Because we were just trying to pass the whole object, which wouldn't work anyway. So now we can just wrestle through these and get them working. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna say if selected is 1, then we're going to minus. Then if selected is 2, it will be. And we can do else if. Selected is equal to 3. And then set that one to 2. And then we're going to multiply here. And then we're going to then we're going to divide here. And we'll look at a minute the problem with just dividing like this. So let's run this, and we should have it working now. Number 1 is 5, number 2 is 7, and we're going to add them to get 12. Okay, that's working well. Then if we just multiply the same ones, subtract the same ones, and then if we take 10, let's say, 10 and divide it by 3, what we're going to get is probably 3, but we want 3.33. So we can see we got 3. So what we can do now is either keep it as this, or we can say a remainder, or we can get the actual decimal. So let's try this. Set text, and then add here. Remainder. And we need this as actual speech marks. And then let's, we need to try modulus, I think. To string. Num1. And then we need to do modulus to find the actual remainder. That's what modulus is, essentially. So that's what we need to do. And then, yeah, so it's going to be num1 and then modulus num2. So let's try this. And then that will be about it for this video. Okay, number 1 is going to be 4. Number 2 is going to be, let's just say 5, actually. Then we're going to have 0 remainder 4. That's good. Then we're going to have 7 and 5. 1 remainder 2. And then we still have all this functionality for these ones. And that works well. So that's pretty much it. There's a few things I'm going to change quickly. So what we can say as well is when we push the button, we want to, we're going to set the values of these text boxes. So text input, yeah, to something else. So we're going to say, or just make them blank, yeah. Text input dot string value is equal to blank. and then we're going to say text input 2 dot string value is equal to blank as well. Same thing. And then now if we try it, we should have it so it's sort of resetting them each time. And that's a lot better for what we want. So 5 and 6, or 7, sorry, we can add together to get 12, and it resets them. So that's exactly what we wanted. So if this video is helpful, please subscribe, please like. I hope it was helpful and you got a bit out of it. See you next time.